constantly being pushed out of the comfort zone. Tonight, John will be giving speech number 1 from the basic manual. The time is 4 to 6 minutes. It's his icebreaker speech. And the title is Life is a Daring Adventure. Please welcome John.
Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. Life is a daring adventure, or it's nothing. Those are the words of Helen Keller, and I believe they sum up my life, but I'll let you be the judge. I was born to two parents who came from Ireland in 1928 during the Great Depression to America to find their American dream. And as a kid, I guess I had a feeling that I was in for a long ride. Kind of got this look on my face like, where's my seatbelt? It's going to get bumpy. I grew up in a neighborhood called the South Bronx. You may have heard of it. Some of you who are older may have heard the movie Fort Apache. That was my neighborhood. This is the building I grew up in and lived 18 years on the 3rd floor, 400 East 141st Street. Now, you may have heard of many things about the South Bronx. It became famous or infamous. It was, the neighborhood I lived in was one of the poorest neighborhoods in America and still is to this day. And growing up, it was a challenging time. My dad died when I was 4 years old. My mother raised me and my brother. I was the youngest of two boys. And during that time, the South Bronx went through everything. Arson wave, heroin addiction, crime, you name it, the South Bronx saw it. To me, though, it was a neighborhood. And it was my friends, and I enjoyed it. And to this day, I have great friends there. Now, it was a little strange, I must admit. We used to swim in the East River with rats. We used to jump from roof to roof and hopefully not miss, because if we did, we were going to die. And there was a couple other street games we played that were rather unique, I would suggest. But like I said, it was a neighborhood. And at the age of 15, I wanted to make sure and give myself a little bit of an insurance policy, so I started studying Chinese Kung Fu Wushu and became a junior instructor. And that took me on another adventure. And after 10 years, I had a great adventure which I never expected. And I had a chance to lead a trip to the People's Republic of China and walk on the Great Wall. Wow. And at the time, here's a picture of me leading the group through right on the border of North Korea at the time. And at the time I was 25 years old and I was still a high school dropout. I dropped out of high school when I was 15. And I led the trip, a 2-week trip. I came back to the United States and I got my GED, went to college, and began another journey. And during that time when I was going to college, I worked every job you can imagine. I worked in a paint factory. I was a taxi driver. I was a aerobics instructor. I became a substitute teacher. I became a oral history interviewer. And I got a chance to go and interview a great oral historian, Studs Terkel. And at the same time, he interviewed me for his book, The Great Divide, and my story's in that book. Wow. And so the adventure continued. When I came back, I had a couple other jobs. I started studying acting. Another door opened up for me, and I started acting in theater and movies. And here's a picture of me in a movie called Bums. Well, what happened to that beautiful little kid? He looks scary, doesn't he? So with acting, I was working, at the same time, I was working in the post office, a night shift. And I worked in the post office for 5 years until another adventure occurred. And I met a person by the name of Tony Robbins, and I walked on hot coals on 34th Street in Manhattan on a Friday night. And that opened up another door. And I decided to quit the post office and move to Hollywood and pursue some other dreams that I had. And from there, I went to Hollywood in 1991 and began to move from in front of the camera to behind the camera and started producing movies. And in the past period, I've produced over 15 feature films. This is a picture of some of them. I've had some great adventures. I've gone to Cannes 2 times with some of the films that I was involved in. And I've been able to meet some amazing, some interesting, and also some strange people. Here's me on the set in South Carolina with Lil Wayne, the rapper. I'm sure some of you may have heard him from the Grammys. That was a very interesting experience. And I've also had some great experiences making movies too. Had a chance to go down and work with the U.S. Marine Corps and film their training down in Quantico. And this is for one of the projects that we did, and this is a screening for them. So like I said, the adventure continued. And then when I thought I could have no more adventures, something strange happened. I got contacted by a relative on the internet, a cousin in England who told me that my mother's sister was still alive in Ireland. Now, when we grew up as kids, it was my mother, my brother, and me, and we lost contact with all family. So through a process of conversation and phone calls and making sure that we really were related, because Duffy, there's a lot of, and O'Donnell, which was my mother's name, there's a lot of different people by that name in Ireland. We figured it out and we were related. So on St. Patrick's Day 2 years ago, we ended up going to Ireland for an Irish reunion. And this is a sign that they put up saying, "Welcome to our American cousins, 1932 to 2008. My mother had left in 1932 to come to America.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And this is a picture of the reunion, and I met family from all over the world, and 25 members of my family, and I had the greatest time. Got a chance to walk through the house that my mother grew up in the mountains of County Mayo in Glandorf. Just when I thought I couldn't have any other adventures. So last year, I decided I need to do something with this. I need to write about it. So I've been working on writing a memoir, and I wrote the first draft of it. And this is the tentative title called Black Irish, Not Your Average White Boy. And so, to conclude, I would like you to raise your glasses and drink a toast to daring adventure and to life. Thank you.
Please take a few minutes to give John.